All right, so the first thing I want you guys to do is you're going to go to Epic Games. And again, this is going to be a review of the same things we did on Thursday. We're just going to kind of cover it again. So most likely your Epic Games looks like this. And by the way, if you didn't know, every Thursday, Epic gives away a game for free every single Thursday. I guess this one is the free one for this week, and you can kind of see what the next ones are coming up.
This is why Epic makes so much money.
Epic makes their money from Fortnite. This is like, they make so much money that they paid game studios money to be exclusive on Epic for a year before they can release on any other platform. So games like
Final Fantasy 7.
And
Kingdom Hearts.
And SnowRunner and all that, all are on Epic because Epic gave them money to say, hey, you're going to be exclusive. And those studios were like, the amount of money that they agreed to had to been enough, it had to been more than what they would have made on Steam. Isn't that crazy? So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Think about every game being $20 a pop, selling millions of Final Fantasy copies.
But does Epic really have that much money to throw around? I know they're part of like the main game hub. They give people access to Unreal and they allow you to play with it up until you get like over, was it like 200,000? But do they really, being like that, and they're not a production company? I think they did one other production that they decided not to do because they were pursuing like Fortnite, right?
Yeah, they made, I can't think of the other game, but it's in the marketplace.
Yeah, where you can just get the assets they were given to you. Paragon, I think is what it was.
Yeah, Paragon, you're right, Paragon. Yeah. No, I don't know how much they're making, right? But they're making a buttload of money, a buttload. I mean, probably Tim Sweeney basically owns so much natural reserve land. He literally goes and buys land and then just makes it a natural reserve because he loves nature or whatever, and that's how much money they're making. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna go buy some land today. I haven't bought any this week, like what the hell? They're just making so much money, dude.
Sounds like something Mr. Beast would do.
Yeah, exactly. He probably funds Mr. Beast. You know what I mean? Okay, so in Epic Games Launcher, you're going to go to the Unreal block here on the left, and then you'll get this top nav bar. You're going to click on Library. You should have Unreal already installed because we talked about that before. And what I want you to do is launch 427. So we'll click on that now. And then you can close the Epic Launcher while it loads. I mean, Star Wars is making, they made movies, right? In the Unreal Engine. That's how much money they're making. It's crazy. Okay, so here we are at the Unreal Project Browser Launcher. You probably have one recent project, the one you worked on before. If you didn't save it, that's okay. You probably don't have anything up here then. But what we want to do is we're going to go to this new project categories. And the one we want right here is game. We're going to click on that. And then when we do, you can see our next button highlights. So we're going to click on that. Then we get these templates. So templates are like a sort of baseline level, baseline setup for different genres of games. So Unreal is real good about saying, hey, you want to make a first-person shooter? I'm going to give you sort of the very simple assets, the very simple templates, blueprints, and all of that to do a first-person shooter. If you want a vehicle game, I have all the things that you need to begin, right? They're not giving you obviously our assets and all that, but to begin to set up your driving game and top down and third person and whatever, Marble Madness type game. So for now, we're just going to click on first person for our template. So we'll hit next. And then it's going to give you some project settings. We want to be in Blueprint, and we do not need any starter content. The rest you can leave as default if it's not already. And we'll name this project Light Switch. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to make a light switch in this project. And you can save it wherever you want, but I personally like to save my stuff in the default location, which is in my documents folder, Unreal projects. All right, once you have it set up, you can hit create. And it will create the project, which takes a minute.
Is there any downside to having it on your desktop?
I don't think that, I mean, I'm not the IT guy. I don't think there's any issues with having it on your desktop, but 100% do not put it on your USB. When I was in the classroom and taught in the class, my students love to put their projects on the USB because they could take the USB out of the computer, right? When they're done for the class. But you know, you're running on the speeds of USB instead of your hard drive speed. You know what I mean?
I mean, you can move it onto a desktop, work on it, move it back on your USB. I
That-
think there's something where it resyncs, right? When you're
That's
moving
the
it to a computer.
ideal. That's ideal, but like
It's
most of my
broken for me
students,
a few times when I've tried that though.
yeah, that's the ideal situation, but most of my students didn't do that. Okay, so here we are, we're in the level editor. Let's talk about it for a second. In the top right here, this top section where my mouse is, we have all our file, edit, window, help. This is like any application you open up on your computer, right? Word, Excel, your Google Calendars, they all have the same sort of file, edit, view. This is the same idea. So in file, you can save your stuff, edit, we can open up different things. And Windows allows us to open up different types of windows, okay? Pretty simple. This bar right here in the center above our viewport is called a toolbar or toolbar ribbon. Basically, it gives us quick access to all of the items that we would use very often. So we will use build very often. We will use play and different types of play and editor type modes. Launch will allow you to make a build. To launch the project, you can go into here into settings. Like some of you guys might have not the best computer, you can adjust some of your settings in the editor here for making it not look as high quality, obviously, but and so on. You can open the marketplace, content browser, and so on. That's what the toolbar is for. Actually, let me move this out of the way. On the left here is our place actors. And when we switch modes, oops, when we switch, what is it? Alt, let's shift. Alt 2? No. Why is it? It's shift 2. Why are you not switching? There it goes. So when we switch modes, you can see me switching now. It also opens up the different tabs for those different modes. But the place actors allows us to just drag actors into the world and place them, right? Into our viewport. So that's what that is. Below that is our content browser. Our content browser is where it's like the library of all of our content. It may not be in our game itself, but it is available for us to add it to the game. So if you import stuff from Maya, Max, you import stuff from TurboSquid or whatever, import stuff from your marketplace, it's all going to be inside your content browser. As we add blueprints and build stuff, it will be in our content browser first, and then we can add it to our game by either adding it to the viewport or adding it to a world outliner here on the right. Okay, let's talk about the center thing here. This is our viewport, and we did talk about moving it around. So there's 3 ways to move around. The first way is like a video game. So it's going to be WASD plus your right mouse. So if you hold down right mouse and WASD, allows you to move around, right? The other way to move around is like in Maya. So if you hold down, if you select an object, you hold down, I'm sorry, you select an object, you can hit F to focus on it like in Maya. If you hold down Alt and you left click and hold, you can view around it. And if you hold down Alt and you do right mouse, it zooms in and out. And of course, mouse wheel zooms in and out as well. And then the third way is to use just your mouse itself. So if we hold down left and right mouse, we can go up and down. If we go side to side, we can go side to side like that.
think E is like pan up too, isn't it?
I believe if you hold down, yeah, if you hold down right mouse, it's E and what is it? Z and C, or zoom in, E and R or something like that.
Either E and R or in C.
Oh, E
something
and
like
Q,
that.
E and
Or-
Q.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
right. Okay.
E and Q. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I almost never use that. Yeah, I normally use WSD and do like flying around like this. If your W key only works half the time, you got to make sure you hold down right mouse. Like if we're doing W now, it does nothing. But if I hold down right mouse first and then do W, then it should work. But if it's not working like that for you, then you may want to take your keyboard, smash it across the ground, and get a new keyboard. If it's attached to the laptop, that's even better. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Does it get extra points?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I said it the first class. I don't know if I said it the first class, but you, for any of you guys that want to be in the game industry at all, grades you should give absolutely no crap about grades at all, and you should try your best to develop yourself to be the person in the seat that's already in the seat now, and go beyond the grades. That's how you get in the industry. So you're going to find out, and I'm recording right now, so it's too late for me, but you're going to find out that my class is very, very easy as long as you do the work. Super, super easy as long as you do the work. Okay, I don't know why I got into that tangent, but I did. What were we doing? Oh, moving around. Okay, so we move around, WSD, QE, you're right. The F key for zooming in, hold down Alt and left click and drag to move around the object. We have some buttons over here on the top of our viewport and some buttons over here on the right side of our viewport. So we will look at those. So we have viewport options. It just allows you to do things like show FPS and do different toolbar options and so on, different field of view, right? Reset that back to 90 and so on. This is a different view modes, so perspective, bottom, top, front, etc., just like in Maya. Then we have, oh, actually, this is not a view mode. This is different view types. And then this is the view modes. So unlit, wireframe, etc. Those are Alt 2, 3, and 4. So that's Alt plus 2, 3, or 4. And then we have show, and this just shows our different, like we can see collision. Actually, we'll do it like this. Oh, why are we not seeing collision? Oh, because it's show collision is. Oh wait, it is showing it. I'm down. There it is. You can see it right there. This little outline right there. Maybe not in the stream, but it's there. I swear. We can do different. What is it? We'll do developer ones. Visualizers is what we want. We want to see. Oh, we could do bounds maybe. Yeah, there you go. So you can see when I select an object, the bounds of it. It's kind of cool, right? That's important for doing on hit events. Turn that off. And if you accidentally like turn on a bunch of stuff, you're like, oh, I turned that on, and I got one of these going, maybe some constraints, and I got this. Maybe I want one of these, and oh, I turned this off, and I clicked on that, and I just broke everything. Oh my God!
You're killing me. You're turning off so many of your toggles. Wait, what?
Yeah. So you can just hit use defaults, and it'll reset it back to.
Okay, I was like, are you losing your mind? I was like, I would lose track. I'd be like, what did I do?
How did I duplicate the object again? Oh, that's a good question, Dan. Good question. So select an object, and then if you hold down Alt and you move your mouse onto one of the arrows here for your transform, you hold down Alt and you left click and drag, you can create a new one. Another way to do that is in the world outliner. I mean, we're talking about viewport, but it's fine. In the world outliner, you can hold down Control and hit W to duplicate like that. So you see how I'm making a bunch of them.
That is so awesome.
And we'll be duplicating for sure and our blueprints and stuff like that, right? So if we make a single blueprint, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, we can move that blueprint around and have multiple light switches and multiple blueprints for whatever we need. Okay, so what else? Okay, so that's viewport left side. On the right side, we have our transform, we have our rotation, and we have our scale. We have switching between world and object. Oh, I'm in scale, so it's not gonna work, but world and local space. These are your different snapping tools. So snap to grid for transform, snap to grid for rotation, snap to grid for scale. And then finally you have our camera speed. So you can adjust the speed of the camera if you want. And if you ever get stuck, don't forget you can hit F and it will focus on an object for you. Oh, I did say finally camera speed, but there is one more button right here. This is our changes of viewport to a four button viewport or whatever you want to call it, like Maya back to your regular one. And remember, you can adjust anything and the layout. So if you don't like the layout, you can adjust it how you want. We can grab tabs and put them wherever we want. All right. Yeah, sure, we can do that. We can even take the tabs and just have them out and be their own entity if we want them to be. And if we don't like any of that, we can go back to window. We can go back to, what is it? There's a mode, there's a way here to reset it. I forget exactly where it is. It's one of these, I swear. Oh, here it is. Load layout. Load layout, default letter to layout. There you go. We're back to our default. So it's in window, layout, load layout, default letter layout.
If
And
you'd
go ahead.
saved anything, would that be under the import option? Or if you're trying to
Yeah. So if we save our layout, then we can reload that layout. And as a matter of fact, you can save that layout, move to a different computer, and then push that layout on it. So on my computer downstairs, I have a ultra wide screen, right? So I actually have the viewport separate, and I don't think I have place actors at all, like it's something like this, because I don't really use the place actors that much. Oops.
if you're saving a project and you have it on two separate computers, like say I did a whole bunch of work on one and then I move to another one, when I load up the Epic launcher, would I import the layer or the level the same way that you did here, but have to do it through the launcher, or would it not recognize it? Would I have to have the actual saved copy on the with me that I was transporting over to the computer?
So the answer to that is version control, right? So using a version control like Git, or in Unreal's case called perforce or subversion. So I'll show you here perforce and subversion, or even Git. And so so like at all studios, every studio I've ever worked at uses some sort of version control. And what that does is basically it saves, this is like the condensed version of Git version control. But basically the idea is that it saves the game, saves the entire project somewhere on the cloud. And then you download that onto your computer or computers, and I do too, right? And maybe James does, and Hayden, and so on, right? They all download that same project, and then we all work on it together. Maybe you work on this, this blueprint, and maybe James works on the first person example map, and maybe someone else is doing something else, and then you push, James pushes his map changes, and you push your stuff, and I push my stuff, and it saves it to that cloud, and then you download that. You download all, every time you work on the project, you're re-downloading everything from the cloud again.
Would you ever, I guess the only time you would have a problem with that is if you're both trying to upload at the same time?
No, you would not have a problem with that. The only time you have a problem is if the item you're pushing or working on at the same time is a binary file, such as images, media, or blueprints, then you're going to have problems because only binaries can't be, like if it's a text document, we can both write text at the same time, right? I
Right.
can write in a Google Doc at the same time that you write in a Google Doc. But if it's binary, I can't like draw an image and you draw an image at the same time on top of me drawing that image in Photoshop, right?
Mhm.
So that's why it doesn't work like that. So when it happens, we have to like
I heard they, I heard they had like a lot of issues with this, where like Mass Effect Andromeda, where they had issues with different versions being overwritten and they weren't using the same ones.
Oh, I don't know about all that. Every studio I've ever had, almost every week, we have some sort of version control issues where, you know, you push something and I didn't know that you worked on it and now I overwrote your stuff. And well, it's okay, it's version control, so we can go back and get your version, and then I can make my changes on top of your version. It's not a big deal. Okay, let me move on. Okay, so we got World Outliner. World Outliner is just an outliner of all of the items inside our viewport, inside our game. So it's almost the same as our content browser. Content browser is a library of stuff, may or may not be in the game. World Outliner is everything that's in the game. And we can select it just like in Maya, right? So this is sort of like the same Maya outliner. And then when we select an object, we have our details panel here on the bottom. The details panel gives us the details for that particular object. And everything that's in the details panel can be modified in real time with their blueprints. I take that back. Most things can be modified in the details panel with their blueprints. So physics, materials, all this, collision, lighting, all the rendering. Remember when we did the light on Thursday, we were just flipping this toggle switch. That's all we were doing for any item that we select. Okay, so that is that. Let's talk about a blueprint editor. So we're going to go to our content browser. I'm going to click on this guy right here called Source Panel, and it gives me like an outline of all the folders in our content browser. I really like this because maybe I'm old school. We'll go into our first person BP folder, and inside there we'll go into the blueprints folder, and inside there we'll go into first person character. And that opens up our blueprints editor, and you'll know that it's a blueprint editor because it says blueprint. So if I open up a map blueprint, so let's go to a level blueprint, you'll see that it says level blueprint on it and our event graph. So this is wrong. We want to just be in the blueprint editor. They're very similar, by the way. So like our level editor, we have our file, edit, asset, view, and so on and so forth. We have our toolbar at the top for most of the things we're going to do very quickly. We have our details panel here on the right, and actually your details panel may look something like this. I've seen it look like that. That's okay. Just you can move it. You don't have to. It doesn't matter. On our left, we have our components. So these are the components that are tied to our actor. So think of it like if we're a human, we have arms, we have lungs, we have hearts, hopefully, and so on, right? So that's what this is. And then we have our blueprints. So the blueprints are your functions, your macros, all the variables tied to your object. So yeah. All right, any questions on the UI moving around and so on and my little view? That was 30 minutes, hecka quick. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, that was oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. I had a quick question. It's about blueprint. Is there any way to zoom out on the information it has, like all the boxes? Because whenever I open it, it's all smushed together.
You talking about in this one? It looks like this?
Yes, because when I open it, it's all like zoomed in, and I just want to know, is there a way to zoom out so that I'm not having to find everything and take billions?
You mean like this? So you can zoom out with the mouse wheel.
Oh.
Mouse wheel zooms out in and out. That's a good question, actually. I think I didn't even cover how to move around in the blueprint editor. So mouse wheel zooms in and out, and if you hold down right mouse, you can drag around it in the event graph. And the same thing with the construction script. You can zoom right mouse to move around, and right is exactly the same. And then when you're inside a function, so let's see, this one does not have a function, but we'll create one. We'll call this the bacon function. Right, and it's exactly the same. But you can see on my tabs here, I'm in bacon function, and here I'm in the event graph and the construction script. And then our last tab, the viewport, is exactly the same as the viewport in our level editor, right? So it has the same buttons, and we move around exactly the same way. WASD and Alt to look at an object and rotate around it, and mouse, double mouse for up and down and left and right.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Go ahead, Dan. I think you had a question too. I think it was Dan.
Oh, I just want to make a comment. That was probably the fastest 30-minute I ever seen. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and build a new light switch so we can get more familiar with messing around with blueprints and the UI and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try and go slow. If I go too fast, let me know, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our content browser. We're gonna go to the content folder, and with that content folder, I'm gonna, with it selected, I'm gonna right click, and I'm gonna get this context menu. And in this context menu, I'm gonna click on new folder, this one right here, new folder. And I'm going to name this new folder Blueprints. And if you messed up, you can hit F2. That's the shortcut key to renaming any item in your content browser and in the web outliner. Or you can right click and say rename. With the Blueprints folder selected, actually, I'll show you one more cool thing while we're talking about it. This completely unrelated, but what we're going to do is we're going to right click this blueprints folder, and we're going to say set color. You see this right here? Set color. And this is cool because you can set whatever cool color you want, and you'll notice that the folder changes to that color for us, right? So we can be, we can now know like, oh, okay, this is the folder I'm supposed to be working in because it's got a pink color to it. So again, that's right clicking and then set color right here. All right. So with the blueprints folder selected, I'm going to go into this part right here where it says drop files or right click to create content. I'm going to right click that. It's going to bring up this context menu. And I'm going to click on blueprint class right here. Create basic asset blueprint class. So it's going to bring up this little launcher for us to pick a parent class. And pretty much everything in Unreal is an actor. And these are different types of actors. So we have a pawn that allows us to, the player to possess it, and then they can use the controller to move that pawn around. We have game modes, which, you can see here, like it sets the rules and scoring and so on and so forth. So in most of the games that I've made, we typically will have like a main menu game mode, a single player game mode, and like a versus or a co-op game mode or multiplayer, right? And sometimes we'll even have like local multiplayer where you're playing on the same screen. Like think of, I don't know, the game that comes to my brain is like Metal Slug, where it's like 2-player, right? And you're shooting stuff, so side scroller, Contra or something, and then you have like multiplayer where it's networked, right? And so those would be different types of game modes. So usually even like hot seat and stuff like that. Actor component and scene component, these are components that typically get added to all sorts of different types of actors, such as I think there's actually like a movement actor component for the character that allows any character to move around. Anyway, the one we want to use, the one we're probably going to use throughout the whole class is actor. We're just going to click on actor. And when I click on that, it adds this blueprint to my blueprints folder. And obviously it's not going to be named blueprint or new blueprint. So we're going to rename it. We're going to call this BP_light switch. And you can call it whatever you want, but I recommend you name it that. And by the way, I named it BP for blueprint, right? So when you get into a studio working somewhere, you will have a naming convention document that says this is how we name everything. And the teams that and I'm sorry, artists, but the team that messes up the naming convention is, and the folder structure is always artists, always is. So when you guys go into the studio, set it straight and don't mess it up if you're an artist. Okay, so with that said, we're going to go into the editor itself. Oh wow, what happened here? Okay, so all I did was just double click it. So I'll do that again. I just double clicked it. It opens up the editor. If your screen looks like this, where it's like, oh no, I can't open it, you can just click this right here where it says Open Full Blueprint Editor. What is going on? There it goes. I hope Unreal's not messed up again. Maybe it is. One more time. No. Fail. Okay. So if this happens, which hopefully you can see, it's like flickering like crazy. It's because I'm sharing my screen, so that's why it keeps crashing. So I'm going to say no. We'll reopen Unreal here. That's actually Unreal 5. Games. Library, launch. So if we have weirdness happening to your, oh, whoops, I don't want to open that. This one. You have weirdness happening to your project, or it's like flickering like mine just did. You might not be able to see it because of the stream because it's happening really fastly. Then just restart the project. It should be fine. Okay, open editor. There we go. That looks right. There we go. Okay, so what do we want to do? I'm going to hit C for comments. So I just hit the C key, and when I hit that C key, it allows me to make comments, right? All right, so I'm going to make some comments. The first one we're going to do is we're going to say, what we want to do is we're writing pseudocode. So a lot of my students go, man, how do you just start with a blank slate and just write code? How do you know? How do you know what to do? Like, I don't know, right? And some of that comes with time, right? It just comes with time of doing things and seeing, and think of it as like reading and writing, right? Like you didn't know how to write immediately, right? You knew how to read first. So it's the same thing with coding, right? You look at other people's code, how they did it, and then you just reading it, right? And then eventually you go, oh, I want to modify just this one little thing, just this one. I just want to do this one little thing, and now it's changed, right? So so now you're doing like a little bit of writing, or you have like a template sort of thing, and then you're writing a little bit, and then eventually you'll get into like writing your own stuff. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to be close enough to the light switch, right? And if we're close enough to the light switch, then prompt the user to press the use key. And if they press the use key, then we turn on the light. But if they're too far away, then we remove the prompt, right? Or prompts, and that's it, right? We remove the prompts, and don't allow the use key at all, right? So if they're too far away, then remove those prompts. If they are, then we can do that. So use the key. If they don't do the key, no use key pressed, then no light on, right? And we just keep the prompt up. Hey, let's see. Also, when they do turn the light on, we can also prompt them and say, turn the light on and give them feedback. Give feedback. You turned on the light. Yay, right? It's always a good idea to give player feedback. Also, if they step away, maybe instead of getting rid of, we'll get rid of all the prompts, but then we'll also do another feedback, player feedback. Get close to light to turn it on, right? Something like that. So this is for, it's for too far away or leaving area. And then this is for in area or close enough. All right, so code is written. Yes, I can slow down, I'm sorry. Code is written, we're good to go. Thanks for class, guys. So this is pseudocode. So this is kind of how you would do it. If you don't know exactly what you want to do, you can sort of write this out. And as a matter of fact, 99% of the time, it's not written in here, it's written in a design document. And that design document would have something called user stories. And these user stories are exactly what I've just written down, where it's like, hey, someone who has no technical knowledge at all will say something like, hey, I want the character to get close to a light switch. That's fine, Dan. I want to get close to the light switch, and then when they get close to the light switch, I want the user to be prompted to say, hey, press the button to turn on the light switch. And when the user does, I want the light to turn on, and I want to give feedback to the player to say, yes, you turned on the light. And if they walk away, I want to sort of force them, the horse to the water, so to speak, and say, hey, get closer so you can turn the light on. So I'm going to hit compile here, and we'll hit save. And all that does is just compiles our comments, which are nothing, right? Comments don't get added to code. Or sorry, they don't affect code in any way. They're just there to help us out. Okay, so let's try and work on this in area stuff. So first we need to be close enough to the light. So we need some things in order to do that. So the first thing we're going to need, we're going to go to our components, and we're going to go to add component. And in the search box, we're going to type in box collision. And I just typed in box COL. And as soon as I did, you can see it popped up right here. And so this is what we want. And you can see right here, it says a box generally used for simple collision, bounds are rendered as lines in the editor, which is fine. So I talked about this briefly. And I'm just going to say box is fine. I'm jumping ship here back and forth. But I talked about this briefly before in Legend of Zelda. If I go to our top mode, in Legend of Zelda, we would typically have a level, and you don't need to follow along anymore. I'm just talking now. But we would typically have a level like this, right? And the player would walk into the door. Let me get rid of the grid. I can't get a grid in the top mode. The player would walk into the door. As soon as they do, they hit a trigger volume, right? This trigger volume would then shut the doors and spawn in 3 bats or whatever, right? And then the player kills those 3 bats. That fires off another event that opens the doors and maybe spawns in a key or something like that. So this is the same kind of idea that we're doing now. We're going to have the player walk onto this trigger volume. And when they do, we're going to fire off this event that says, hey, you are indeed close enough, and we'll prompt them and let them turn on the light and so on and so forth. Okay, so first thing we need is a box. Something else I like to do, and I did it on Thursday, is I hate this sphere. You see the sphere, how it grows and shrinks? I hate it. I don't want the sphere. So we're going to get rid of
Yeah,
that.
I don't like that sphere either, actually.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go to add components, and we're going to type in scene. And you can see it's just a utility. It allows us to add transforms and so a lot of different things. But we're just going to click on scene, and we're going to rename that to root. and I'm going to drag it on top of default scene root. And when I let go of left mouse, it gives me this options to either attach or make new root. And in this case, I'm going to say make new root, make new root. And when I do, you can see now it has gotten rid of that sphere for me. All right. So what else do we need? We need a light. So let's do add component, and we'll do light. And the one we want is point light. And again, make sure that it is a child of root. So this one right here is correct. Child of root. That looks good. I don't think I have a green pen, but maybe I do. Yep, that one's good. And if it looks like this, then that's bad. This is wrong. You want it to be a child of root. And you can see I can show you, make it new root. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to do attach. Attach. Okay, so what else do we need? We need to prompt the user, give them feedback. So we're going to use as a text renderer. So I'm going to type in text renderer. Okay, here it is, text renderer. So we need that. And we're going to attach it to our root as well. Text renderer. I think my southern drawl is probably coming out. Try not to have it too much. You need a text renderer, you need a light, and you need a box collision.
When I hover over to attach it or to the root, that menu doesn't pop up for me. It just says drag here to replace. Like it doesn't allow me to attach.
When you let go of the mouse, so you can see right here it says drop to make it the new root.
Yeah.
And when oh, sorry, actually not text renderer. Let's do it this way. There we go. So when I let go of it, you can see it says attach. If it
doesn't do it, it just replaces it.
Oh, then it's already a child of root. Then it's already.
Oh, okay.
Can you see this little arrow right here?
Yes.
So that means that these are all children of root. Just
Okay.
like in Maya's grouping, you can see if I click that arrow, it makes all the children go away. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Let's fix some stuff. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make box a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to go in my viewport. I'm in the viewport tab. I selected box in our components. Hit R for scale, or you can click this guy right here. I'm just gonna scale it up a little bit. I don't know how big yet. I'm just gonna make it big. Point light, that's fine. And text renderer, let's go to text renderer. Actually, no, let's go back to point light. We want to make some changes here. Point light, let's change the intensity to crazy, and we'll change the light to whatever color, doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, I will show you a way to, well, the way I did it on Thursday, where we'll make it our own point light instead of the one inside the blueprint. So that, again, that's under a light category in our details panel, intensity and light color. Just change those to something different than what it is so that we can differentiate the lights. Let's click on text renderer, and in text renderer, we're going to details panel. We're going to go to the text category. We'll leave text as it is, text material, font. Oh, here we are. Horizontal alignment, this one. Horizontal alignment, we're going to center that. Vertical alignment, we're going to center that as well. So now it looks something like that. And I don't want it on the ground. Remember I said the grid is the ground. I don't want the text on the ground. I want it kind of at eye level of the player. I'm using my hands and you can't see because I don't have the camera turned on, but I swear, eye level, there we go. So I'm just dragging it up. And actually, I think I'm going to move that point light as well. I'm going to move the point light up as well. So I'm going to compile and save. I give you all a chance to catch up. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready.
Thumbs up.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's add another component. I'm gonna click on root, add component, and this one we're gonna do is cube. So we're adding a cube. And this is just going to be like a platform to let us know, or let the player know, hey, this is where, and we'll just rename this platform. You know, this is where you can stand. So I'm gonna squish that a little bit. And then I'm gonna scale it on the X and Y. I think I actually scaled it all the way. No, it didn't. Okay, cool. Just a little bit too big. That's good enough. Compile and save that. And I think it's just a little too high on the ground, so I'm actually gonna drag it down one notch. That looks good. So it's just a little bit above the ground. That's perfectly fine. All right, let's go to the details panel of the platform. And the details panel, I'm going to go down to the collision category. This one right here, collision. And where it says collision presets, I'm going to change it to no collision. I don't want the player to get stuck on the platform for any reason. So I'm going to say no collision. And we're also going to say generate overlaps. We're going to say no to that. Character and step on, we're going to say no to that too. Just no collision at all. We don't want to deal with any collision with the platform. And while we're thinking about it, because we talked about it last time, let's go to the box. We're going to rename this. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to rename it. We'll do trigger volume. You can leave a box, it doesn't matter, but it's going to make more sense when I say trigger volume. So with that trigger volume or box collision selected, we're going to go to collision again. And in collision, we're going to say custom, this one. We're going to say, oh, actually, when character and step on, we're going to say no to that. Custom collision enabled is going to be query, object, world dynamic, that's fine. We're going to ignore everything, ignore all of them. So click on this ignore for your collision responses. We're going to say ignore. And the one that we want to overlap is pawn only, just the pawn.
So you're just overlapping that through the details option for that specific item.
Yes, that's correct. So with the box collision selector, the trigger volume that I've named it, collision, and we're just saying that only the pawn will give a response when it overlaps, right? If we set it to block, then everything can go through the trigger volume except for the pawn or the player, right? The pawn will be blocked by that. So, and we saw this on Thursday with the particle, sorry, not particle effects, with the projectiles. So you can see the pawn right now is blocked. You can't go in. And then if I change the collision response for the pawn to overlap, then I will go through it now without any issues. But I'm firing an event. This event has no logic behind it right now, but I am firing an event that says, hey, you know, this collision, this capsule right here, this player capsule has overlapped with this box collision. That's what that is right there.
So is that how people do invisible walls as boundaries then? They just said, hey, just as soon as you run into it, no.
Yeah, exactly. And whenever I've done invisible walls, and it's you try not to do it, but if I do an invisible wall, it would be something like I would have a trigger volume like this. Let's say this is the invisible wall, and I would actually have here's our invisible wall, right? Oh my gosh, work for me. Here's our invisible wall, and I would have another trigger volume right here, just before it. And this trigger volume would basically say, hey, you're too close to the invisible wall. And maybe I give them some sort of feedback, like a invisible barrier that just sort of shows up, you know what I mean? As you get close to it. And as you step away, right, you're exiting the trigger volume that gives that feedback that says, oh, you can't get too close because there's an invisible wall there. That's a good way to handle invisible walls.
So is there another way to nest everything under the rooted besides the way you showed us, or is that the only way?
I mean, you can make things child of child if that's what we're gonna do.
So you can't just plug and play, kind of just drag it wherever you want. Okay.
I mean, oh, you mean like add component and then like add it to the viewport? No, not in the blueprint editor.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, so it looks like we have all the things we need. Let's just double check. Let's go back to our little pseudocode here. So we need to be close enough. So that's going to be our trigger volume. We need to prompt the user. That's going to be our text renderer. We need to turn on the light. So we have our light. We need to get feedback. That's going to be our text renderer. And then also we have that platform to sort of like let the player know where to stand. Okay, so let's get started. So we're gonna click on our trigger volume or our box collision. Let's see, what do we need to do? We need to go to the details panel. We need to scroll all the way to the bottom, and we need to go to the events category. And in the events category, you can see there's quite a few events that we can trigger with the trigger volume, but the one we want is on component to begin overlap, and the other one is on end overlap. So I'm just going to click on those, and it adds our these two nodes, our begin overlap node and our end overlap node. And for now, I'm going to move this end overlap node out of the way because we're going to work on this one. As a matter of fact, I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to grab my little pseudocode so we can kind of work on this together. Okay, so be close enough to the light switch. That's what this is, right? We need to see if it is the pawn that enters the trigger volume. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out from other actors. We're going to drag out a blue pin right here. We're going to drag out, I'm sorry, a blue noodle from the blue pin. When I let go of left mouse, I get this context menu. In the context menu, I'm going to type in equal, the equal symbol. It's right next to backspace. And when I do, I get these two options. The one I want obviously is equal and an object. And I'm going to click that one because that's the one I want. And you can see now I have this sort of new node. We have a blue pin coming out here, which is object reference. And we have a red pin, which is a Boolean. Okay, so out of this blue pin from this new node I've created, this equal node, I'm going to drag out from that blue pin and another blue noodle, and I'm going to type in get player pawn. So the player pawn is just the pawn that the player possesses. And the player uses the player controller, so it's very similar, player controller, to move the pawn around, okay? But what we want to know is, did the pawn enter this overlap? So we have this red now, so we're saying, hey, is it the pawn? If that's true, if it equals the pawn, so we're going to drag out from this red. We're going to type in branch. And you can see it's just going, yep, is it true? Did it equal the player's pawn? If that's true, then we're going to do something. And if it's false, we're going to do something else. In this case, we're going to assume that it's true. And if it is true, then we're going to tell the user to press the use key. So we need to use the text renderer. So I'm going to grab our text renderer. I'm going to left click and drag. And when I do, and I drag it into my event graph and let go of left mouse, it adds the text renderer to our options to be able to manipulate it. And remember earlier, I told you we can manipulate anything in the details panel for any of our items in our outline. So in our text renderer, one of the detail panel items under the text category is text. See that? So we can change the text of our text renderer in real time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to modify our text. So drag out from this blue pen, blue noodle, type in set text. And the one I want is this one right here, set text, this guy. Now you'll notice that it gives us a value, but it doesn't allow us to modify it. You see that? I can't really modify it. I can't just type in some crazy text. But if I drag out from this pink value and I say promote to variable, so we're promoting the pink value pin to a variable. And you can see that it has named itself value. We're going to rename that to player feedback text. And that's under the My Blueprint variables category right here, player feedback text. So I'll do that one more time. So I'm going to drag out from our value, promote the variable, and name it player feedback text. Oh no. I'm going to move this over just a little bit because we need to set the player feedback text. You can see, oh, actually we'll compile. Let's compile it. You can see that the default value for our player feedback text is empty. So we need to set that text. So what we're going to do is I'm going to drag out the player feedback text variable into my event graph. And when I let go of left mouse, it gives me a getter and a setter. So a getter gets the information that it is and gives it to us. A setter allows us to set that information to use later. In our case, we're going to use the setter, right? Because we're going to set the text value, and then later this getter right here is going to get it and apply it to our text renderer. So if it's true, then we're going to say, press the use key. Actually, we'll do it all over, like a sentence. Press the use key. I don't know. Use key to turn the light on. So this sets the value. And then right here, this one gets the value and applies it to the text renderer. Make sense?
Is there a
Maybe
quick key
not.
you're using to set up the comment?
C
Just see.
C.
Okay.
Press C to add comments. Okay, so actually, let's see if that works. So we're going to test our code now. So what I want you to do is compile and save. And actually, I probably went a little too fast. Let me give you guys a second to add these. By the way, it goes into the true condition. Okay, so we're going to test it now. So add it to your level, and to do that, you just go to your content browser, your blueprints folder, and you just left click and drag it into the world wherever you want. I recommend putting it in front of the player. Now, hopefully, they hit play and that text changes, and it does. That's awesome. Actually, I need to rotate it. So we'll rotate this guy 180 degrees, hit play, and there we go. So when I enter, it says press the use key to turn the light on. Perfect.
It just doesn't turn off because it doesn't register. We haven't programmed the part to turn on.
That's correct, right? It'll only do what you told it to do. So we are prompting the user to press the use key. Now we need to check to see if they press the use key. So let's do this. We're gonna move this out of the way. We can actually close the blueprint. Let's close the blueprint for now. In our level editor, we're gonna go to the edit button right here, edit text, and we're looking for project settings. This one right here, project settings. Is there a way to make the text always face the player? Yes, there is. That's a little bit more advanced topic. But you would modify the material so that the material faces the user all the time. And it would be like a billboard, right? Or a sprite or something like that. Project settings. In our project settings, we're gonna look for the input category. This one right here, input. It's under engine. And we're going to click on it. So you should have the arrow and you can see now we're engine input. And in there, we're going to go to the bindings category. And inside there, we're going to go to action mappings. And I'm going to click on this little arrow to expand out our action mappings. You can see I'm clicking it to expand it out. And I'm going to click this little plus symbol to add a new action mapping. Can you change the text color? Yes, you absolutely can. Yep. Again, this is a good question. So let me go back to the blueprint. I know I'm jumping around again, but everything that is in the details panel, I can change the variable names. I can change the tooltips. I can change all this. I can change the location of the text. I can rotate it. I can change the material. All this I can change, whether it's visible or not visible. And as a matter of fact, we're going to mess with that here in a minute, whether it has a shadow or not. I can add events to it as well, the text renderer as well, right? Whether the player overlaps with the text or not, and so on and so forth. Everything in here we can modify through blueprints and in real time. All right, so back to our project settings, action mappings, plus symbol. We're going to click it. It's going to give us a new action mapping. We're going to name this the use key. And you can give it any key you want. I kind of like the F key. So you can do it one of two ways, and I'll show you how to do that. So let me add this again on the use key. So the first way is to click this little down arrow. You get this context menu. You can type in like F, and then you can sort of find it. Gamepads, keyboard, F. There it is. Another way you can do it is you can click this right here. And when you click it, it turns yellow. And then you can press the key that you want, and that will assign it to that key. Pretty cool, right?
That's for any interactive stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can do it with the control. I think you can do it with the controller too. So we're going to leave this as it is. Use key bounded to F. Let's go back to our. We can close our project settings now. We'll close that out. Let's go back to our blueprint. And let's see, what's the best way to do this? Actually, not this blueprint. Not this blueprint. Let's go to our content browser, content folder, first person blueprint, blueprints, and then inside there, our first person character. So now we're in the first person character blueprint and no longer our text renderer blueprint. Or sorry, the light switch blueprint. First person character. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fix something. The most annoying thing when we're messing with this is this loud noise whenever I fire a projectile. So I'm gonna go right here to where it says spawn projectile. And if you don't know where that is, just zoom in until you see this spawn projectile. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold down Alt and left click on this pin. And when I do, you'll see that it gets rid of the noodle. Holding it on Alt and left click gets rid of noodles. If you hold down Control and select the pin, it gives you the noodle so that you can place it somewhere else. Oops, I fail. There we go. Pretty cool, huh? Place it up here if I wanted to. And of course, if you do nothing, then it tries to draw out a new one for us. Anyway, I'm going to hold down Alt and left click to disconnect it. And what that does is it disconnects the fire. So now the player no longer fires, right? I think that's great. I don't need him to fire anymore. Super annoying. Okay, so we're going to do a new input. So we're going to right click anywhere in your event graph. We're just going to right click, get the context menu, and we're going to type in, what do we call it? Use key. And you can see now, because my project settings has that use key action mapping, that I have this new action events use key. And now what we'll do is we're gonna drag out an event, drag out a white noodle from the white event execution pin. And we're gonna type in print string. And it gives us this node here. Actually, it's super fast, I'm sorry, print string. It's this one right here, print string. And this is just show you that the use key is being pressed. So we're going to change the words hello in our in string block. We're going to say use key pressed.
Wait, how did you get the input action use key?
So you got to make sure that you have in our edit project settings input. You got to make sure that in your action mappings that you've named it use key and you bound a key to it.
Yeah, I did that. I'm just like, how did you get the menu to show up in the blueprint editor?
Okay, good question. So I'm just anywhere in my blueprint editor in the event graph, I'm going to right click. It gives me the same context menu that I would get if I was to drag out from one of the noodles, right? Oh no, my thing is just broken again. And then all I'm typing in is use key. And when I do, it gives it to me. I need to restart Unreal to show you again. So let me save, close. Oh my gosh, I fail. Yeah, we'll save that. Let me reopen again. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions while it's loading?
I'm assuming everything else that you're pulling is pulling from the same drop down in there for like when you're pulling for the value.
Yeah, you're right. You're going to get the same same context menu, but it's with the context sensitive check block. See this right here? Check this. it's going to try, Unreal's going to try its best to be, to give you nodes that match what you're trying to look for. So, and of course, if I don't have that selected, then it gives me everything. You see the difference here? Anyway, so right click, context menu, use key, and then there it is right there, use key. Then we're going to drag it from the execution. We're going to type in print string. And then inside the print string, we're going to say use key pressed. And I just want to show you that this works. We're going to compile and save. And then I'm going to go and hit play. And you can see whenever I hit the use key that I get a message in our log that says the use key is being pressed. And I'm like mashing the F key right now. And like it's like I'm playing Super Smash Brothers or something, and I suck at that game. So what we really want is them to press the use key in here, and it activates the light, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add a variable that says the user pressed the key, and then when they release the button, we're going to say the user did not press the key. So we're going to go variables. We're going to click on, we're going to hover over the variables category, and I get this little, see that plus variable, or you can click on the plus as well. And when I do, and I click plus, it gives me a new variable to name. And we're going to just name this is use key pressed ? And right now it's red, and that's because it is a Boolean. So if we go to the details panel of our use key, you can see right here, variable type Boolean. And if I click on that variable type, you can see I get all sorts of different colors for different variable types. We'll talk about those later. Boolean is just a true or false value. That's all it's doing. It's saying, hey, is it true or is it false? All right, we'll compile that and save. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold down. Oh, I didn't teach you this yet. We'll left click and drag, and then you get this context menu, right? This is the getters and setters. But if you hold down Alt, you'll get and you left click and drag, you get a setter. And if you hold down Control and left click and drag, you get a getter. It's kind of cool. So Alt and left click and drag gives you setters. And holding down Control and left click and dragging gives you getters. All right, so we're gonna hold down Alt, left click and drag to get a setter of our is use key pressed. And we're gonna connect the execution pin of yes, it's pressed. We press the key, and we're gonna say it is true, the key is being pressed down. You see that? And then I'm going to hold down Alt and left click and drag again. And then I'm going to connect it to the released. And now we're going to say that the key, the use key is no longer being pressed. And so now if I walk into, or well, actually, we don't have the walk in part now, but if I hold down the F key, then the key is being pressed. It is true. And here I'll show you this. As a matter of fact, what we'll do is I'm going to do another one of these, and I'm going to change the color. You do not have to do this. I'm doing this very quickly just to show you. So what we'll do is we'll grab this guy, and we'll do this, and this, and this. And now if I press it, you can see use key is pressed. Oh, shoot, did the wrong thing. I meant to do this. There we go. So you can see true. You see that? It says true in green. And if I let go of it, it says false. Press it, true, let go, false. Right? So as long as the user is holding down the key, then we're gonna give them that yes, it is true. That's what this is, right? If they are holding down the key, then they're using the button. Okay, so we're going to save that, and then we're going to go back into our other blueprint. So let's go back to our light switch. And we need to see, is the user pressing that button? So what we're going to do is we need to first be able to get a reference of the character, the first person character blueprint, to see if this variable is valid or not. All right, so think of that as like, I'm gonna do a little snip again here. I'm gonna draw right here so I can explain. So somewhere is our first person character. This is my terrible capsule drawing, okay, of our first person character. And inside there is some variable that says it is pressed, right? But we need to find out this if it's pressed or not in our light blueprint. So this is my terrible light, right? And we need to find out, hey, is this being pressed in our light blueprint? So what we're going to do is we're going to get a reference of this entire blueprint so that we can get this. Terrible drawing, but hopefully it makes sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for our event begin play. Now, if you don't have an event begin play, you can right click anywhere in your event graph and you can type in begin play. And it'll either take you to that event begin play. So like here I am, I right click and I type in begin play. See, it takes me right to it, or it creates it for you if you don't have it. So in our begin play, we're going to drag out a noodle and we're going to type in get actor of class. What is it? Get actor of class. There we go. And it's this one right here. So there's two of them. There's get all actors and there's get actor. The one we want is get actor of class. And so this is going to give us the first person character blueprint so that we can find out, is that button being pressed or not? So click get actor of class. And the actor that we want is this one right here, first person character. This one right there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say our return value is a reference that we're going to save. So we're going to promote this return value to a variable. Right here, see promote to variable. And we're going to name that first person character because that's what it is, right? It's the first person character actor. No problem. As a matter of fact, I think we're a little almost running out of time, but it's fine. I think actually the class goes to 8:30. I could be wrong. Let me double check.
Yeah, class ends at 8:30.
Okay. Yeah, 8:30. Okay, so we're good. All right, so all this is doing is saying when the game begins, find the first person character, save it as a reference or a variable so we can use it later. And that later is going to be right here when the player enters the trigger volume. We say, hey, press that use key. So now we're going to get that first person character. We're going to drag that out. Oops, hold down control and do a getter. We're going to get the first person character. We're going to drag out from there and we're going to say, what did I call it? Is use key press. Drag out from here, is use key pressed. And there it is, right? So we have that value now. So I'm doing a getter, by the way. I'm getting the information. Is use key pressed? And I'm gonna drag off from there and we're type in branch. And then we can turn the light on, right? So we'll grab our light. We've done this before, set visibility. And we're gonna say, yes, it is visible. Yes, it is visible. And I'm gonna copy these guys. So I'm left click and dragging to copy them. Control C to copy, that's Control C. Control plus C, copy. And then I'm gonna paste them right here. That's Control V to paste. Control plus V to paste. And I'm going to change our set value here because we're giving feedback to the player that says the light is now on. Right, so we're setting the feedback and we're setting it to the text renderer. Okay, so let's see if that works. We'll compile and save. We'll hit play, walk up to it, press the use key, and the light is already on. Okay, I fail. Let's go to the point light, details panel, rendering category, visible, and we don't want it visible. File and save. There we go. Get closer. Oh no, it does not work. Why does it not work? Let's see. What are we doing wrong here? Is use key pressed? Oh, can I do a listen for? Let's see. Listen for key or something like that. Oh, go away. It's key listener. I forget what it is. Well, okay, that's not going to work.
When
So
you did the set visibility, which one did you do? Was it the Guardian visibility or the platform? Or because I don't have just a plain set visibility.
Sorry, it's the point light, and then I drag up from there and do set.
No,
visibility.
for your set visibility above that one right now.
I don't have one above that.
The one you were just working on where you just dragged out that, because when I drag it out, I don't have just a set visibility. It's set visibility, and then in brackets, it's platform, point light, root.
Oh, that's what let's see, maybe you have like visibility. I don't know. Maybe share your screen. Maybe you don't have a point light right here. Is it a point light component?
I have it. Give me a second. I'm kind of working off of two computers right now.
Okay. So while he's doing that, let me explain why this is not working. So when I enter, it's only checking one time did I press the use key. So what I mean by that is, oh my gosh, come on, Unreal, don't work with me. If I'm holding down the use key while I enter, then the light turns on, right? Because it checks it one time. But if I enter, it's already checked. It's already done that one time. The use key isn't being pressed. So what I need to do is say, as soon as I enter, so we need to go back and modify our pseudocode. So let's see, we have our, is the player close enough? Then we prompt them. Then we have this this guy over here. Oh my gosh, gimme. We have these guys over here that are turning the light on. And we will also have a don't turn the light on and give them feedback and all that. That's all this right here. But this is our problem right here. So what we need to do is say, as soon as you enter, and Alex, anytime you're ready, cut me off.
I got it. It's up here.
Okay, yeah, sharing your screen?
Yeah.
How do I?
So this is all I have.
Let me see. There we go. Okay, select, drag out the point light into your event graph.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't do it last time. All right.
Is it working now?
Yeah, it's working now.
Awesome. You know what it was, is I just had to I had to be there and like tell it to do the right thing.
Scared in. Yeah.
Yeah. This one. There we go. Okay. I should be able to see my screen now. So anyway, what we need to do is say, as soon as the player enters, that we need to constantly check, no problem, David, to see, did they press the use key? And if they did, then we'll stop checking to see if they press the use key. Actually what I was thinking for a listener is actually in the widgets, not in blueprints, but that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, we'll do an event timer. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out from this guy right here at the set text. We're going to drag out from here. And we're going to do event timer. Sorry, here it is. Set timer by event. This one, set timer by event. So I'm off script, by the way, 100% off script. This is advanced stuff. You guys are actually, this is like what, third class? You guys are already doing timer by event. It's crazy. It's a great class. Good job, guys, everyone. So we'll click on that guy. And I'm going to disconnect all this. And I'm actually going to grab all these guys. We're going to move them out of the way just so we can look at this timer. Set timer by event. All right, so our first thing is this event node right here, or this event pin, sorry, we're going to drag out from there. And we're going to say create event. See that? Create event. We're just going to leave that as it is. We'll come back to that in a second. Our timer, our time, this is how many times it's going to check for us. And in our case, we're just going to set this to like 001. And that's going to check every hundredth of a second, right? And then we're going to say looping, and that's just saying check every hundredth of a second, right? We're going to make a return value, and the reason we're making a return value, sorry, we're going to do a return value, and we're going to promote it to variable, and we're just going to call this what is this? Is use key pressed event handler. No, it's not an event handler. Sorry, it's an event timer. And the reason we have this is because we want to be able to turn this timer off after the user has pressed the use key. And of course, we can click this down arrow and have delays and all that. We don't care about that stuff. Okay, so right here where it says create event, we're going to click on select function, and we're going to say create matching event, create a matching event. And you can see it names itself custom event 1. That's fine. We can leave it as custom event 1. I'm actually going to drag it over here. So basically, what we're saying is everything that's in this custom event, we'll do print string here. Everything that's in here, everything that is after this event will fire every 0.00 seconds. So let's take a look and see if that works. So we're going to go and hit play. I'm going to walk into it, and you can see that it's firing every 0.001 of a second. Perfect. So I'm going to get rid of this print string. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this execution pin back up to all this that I built earlier, just like so. So now we can see, did they press the use key? So we're going to hit save. We're going to hit play.
Sorry, where did you connect it to?
I'll show you just a second. And then if I hit the use key, now the light is on. You see, now it's working. All right, let's go back over here. So
Not like a lot of process just to turn on and off the light.
yeah. So you remember I had this condition right here, and it was originally connected like this. It was originally connected like that. Now instead I'm connecting it to this custom event that I created. If you're not sure how I created that custom event, I'll show you. Right here where it says create event, I click the down arrow and I say create matching event. And it creates one for me. And then I connect it up like so. File and save. And then we should be good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So if the use key is pressed, we want to turn this timer off. Oops, I disconnected our timer. Let's connect that back up. So if the use key is pressed, then we want to turn the timer off. So we're turning the light on. That's this right here, right? We turn the light on. Then we give the feedback that, hey, you turned the light on. Congratulations, you're awesome. And then we want to turn the timer off. So I'm going to grab our timer event. And I am going to, and by the way, that's a getter, right? So hold down Control, left click and drag, Control, left click and drag. And then I'm going to drag out from our dark blue pin, and I'm going to type in clear and invalidate. See this clear and invalidate timer by handle? So what that does is it basically turns that timer off. And we're just going to connect that up like so. So compile and save that. Actually, I'll clean this up a little bit. That's good. Give some feedback to the player. And then we turn off the timer. Compile and save if you haven't already. And then now we can go in. User walks up to the platform. It says, hey, press the use key to turn on the light. The user presses the use key and the light turns on. Of course, when the user presses the key again, nothing happens. So we'll have to work on that. We also need to work on when the player walks away and is the light on and all that sort of stuff, but that's okay. So hopefully it works for you. Let's do a couple more things. So let's see, is the light already on? So we need to see, is the light on? And if it is on, then we want to turn the light off. So we need to add, let's do some more. So is the light on? And if it is on, then turn off the light. Or if it's not on, turn the light on. Right, so we need to add that before we turn the light on. right here. So did they press the use key? Is the light on? So we need a variable, a Boolean to see is the light on or not. So we're going to go to variables plus symbol. And we're going to say, is the light on? Question mark. We'll leave it that dark red for a Boolean. You can see right here, variable type Boolean. And a Boolean is just a true or false value. Actually, we might not even need this Boolean now I'm thinking about it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag out the point light. And we're gonna do get visibility or get visible. Oh yeah, see, we don't need the value anyway. We don't need it. Get visible, there it is. So I take that back. We don't need this variable. So I'm gonna click on this variable, is the light on? And I'm gonna hit the delete key to get rid of it. Or you can right click and say delete. We don't need it because we have this already. So is the light on? Is it visible? We're gonna do a branch off of that guy. So true to this branch. And then this guy right here where we say, hey, we turn the light on. It's this one right here, so we'll get rid of that. So is the light on? Actually, we want to turn the light off. So this would be, then we turn the light off. And I'm going to copy this. So if the light is on, we turn it off. And if the light is not on, then we turn it on. So make sure you click on new visible, checked yes for turning the light on, and unchecked for turning the light off. And then actually, we'll do this. This actually goes down here somewhere. So I'm actually going to grab this. Hey, you turned the light on. Yay. Player feedback. I'm going to grab all that, copy, Control C to copy it. And I'm going to paste it again. Control V to paste. And I'm just going to rename our player, sorry, not rename, but give a new value to our player feedback text that says the light is now off. Connect it like so. And then I'm going to connect this guy like that. And actually, now that I've built this, well, actually, I'll show you what happens. So let's hit play and see what happens. Walk into it, and we hit the use key, and the light turns on. But if the, oh, actually, I have this backwards. The light is now off. I have that backwards. Oops, I didn't fix that. But you can see if I walk into it, the light turns on, and when I hit the use key. But if I hit the use key again, the light doesn't turn on and off, right? So we want the light to be able to turn on and off while we're in the box. So this one right here where it says turn that event timer off, I'm going to hold down Alt and left click on this pin to disconnect those two noodles. We're actually going to use this for our leave the area value. So I'm going to drag this guy over here to our end overlap. And I'm just going to connect it like this. So when the player leaves the area, then I turn off the timer. Instead of it being on pressing the key, it's going to now be on when the player leaves. And since I had that one bug over here where I had this set as on and off, this actually needs to be, we'll do this, give feedback, light is off. I have these backwards. Compile and save. And now when we walk into it, I hit the use key, the light turns on. And, ooh, no, there's a bug. but it's okay. Light is off. Light is now off. What? That's happening too fast. Let's see. How can we fix this? So this is firing way too fast. So what we can do, let's change this to like, we'll change this to half a second. So they walk up to it, they press the key, and they have to hold it down for like half a second, and then the light turns on and off. Why do the both say off? Did I mess up somewhere? Light is now off, light is now off. Oops, I did mess up. Let's fix this. On. And let's change this to half a second. It's a little too long, I think. We'll change it to 2. There we go. I think 2 is still a little too slow. I'll try 1. And this is where design comes in now, more than programming. You just mess with it until you feel it feels good. Still a little bit off, but that's okay.
I felt like every time we try to fix a problem, it just creates like 10 different problems, and this, I was like, oh my god, are we going to even run into that situation ever?
That one's too fast. No, you're right, man. That's coding. That's why there's a, the review process. Other people need to look at your code. There's different ways to fix it. That feels much better. 1.5 feels about right.
Take one down, pass around 700 lines of bug in the code. Or-
Exactly. And we're just adding more functionality, right? So I didn't need to add this functionality at all to see if the light is on or off. We could have just left it as, hey, you walk up, the light turns on, and that's it. But we're adding more functionality. So now is the light switch on? If it is, then we turn it off. And if it is, then we turn it on. And so I changed this value here to 0.15. So about 1.5 seconds. That's what feels good to me. It may feel different for you. You can change it to whatever value you want. All right, so let's keep going. And then again, by the way, I'm also turning off the event timer on when the player leaves. Player leaves the area. Okay, so we need to come back to this. When the player, let's see, when they press the use key, and no light is on. Okay, so on false, they do nothing actually, so that's good. We'll put this actually inside our little comment box. We'll leave that the way that is. This is good, this is good. Okay, I think this is all good for our player enters, presses the use key, and turns the light on. So now we can go to our end block. Actually, before we do that, let's do this one thing. I'm going to grab all this. I'm going to comment. I'm going to say player enters area and presses use key. And I'm going to change this to a different color. So you guys can look at this blueprint later if you want. And let's see, so are they close enough to the light switch? That's the value, blah, 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 blah. After using press the key, press C to comments, it's all good. Okay, looks good. All right, so let's go to our too far away or you've left the area, right? This one right here. And we'll change the color here to like a more reddish color. All right, so our pseudocode says if they're too far away, then remove the prompts and don't allow them to press the use key. Oh, we already have that sort of set up. They can press the use key whenever they want, but it doesn't do anything unless they're close enough to the in the trigger volume, right? So that's good. Player feedback at close to the light. So let's give them some player feedback. So we're gonna grab our text renderer. I'm gonna do set text. Oops. And I have the bug again. Unbelievable. Last 5 minutes. Okay, we're gonna cheat since I have the bug. What we're gonna do is we're gonna grab all this again. So this is our setting the value of our player feedback, applying it. We're gonna copy all that again. So copy, I'll paste it right here. Hold down Alt to disconnect that noodle. Drag these noodles to connect, and this one over here and connect that guy like so. And then this is gonna say, get close to turn the light on or off. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna grab this text, copy this text. I'm gonna go to the text renderer itself, the details panel, text category, text block, and I'm gonna paste that. What this is going to do is it's going to set it as the default value. So you can see now the default value is get close to turn the light on or off. So when the player gets close, it switches, right? Press the use key to turn the light on. When the player leaves, it changes it back to get close to turn the light on or off. And when they press the use key, the light is now on and the light is off. Or actually, we have another bug. Press the use key to turn the light on. Walk, 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 walk. We're just going to change that. We're going to fix that bug right here. We're going to say, press use key. Really no sentence. There we go. See, bug fixed. So what can we do with this blueprint now that we have it? Well, what we can do is we can grab this blueprint, we can rotate it like so. And it's kind of unfortunate that we did, actually, we don't need to rotate it. We can just do it like this. That's blueprint. We'll put it here, it's fine. Rotate it so the text is close to the thing. I'm gonna make it really tiny. I'm gonna go this way, and I'm gonna go this way. And that makes all the text really small, but that's fine. Actually, let's do it this way. Shrink. This way. There we go. Something like that. And maybe you want the platform, instead of it being on the ground like it is now, maybe I want it to be, oh my gosh, is that 90 degrees? Does not look like it's 90 degrees. Drag this platform around, file and save. Oh my gosh, I fail so bad. Let's see, what? Maybe not. Okay, go this way. There we go. So now it's like a little light switch on the wall. And maybe I want it to be really small, right? Like I just want the platform to be very tiny. Why can I not shrink the platform? Oh no, I have the bug again. Oh yeah, that's a problem too. Let's drag that like so. Oh, I see, it's fine. Cool, keep it tiny. And I'm gonna actually put this back the way it was. Oops, one. There we go. Oh, turn off snapping so I can put it into the wall. Thank you, finally. All right, so get close, press the use key, and the light turns on or turns off. Right, so it's like a light switch on the wall instead of it being a platform. All right, I got 1 minute. So it's gonna be super duper fast. What we're gonna do is we're going to let's see, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go to variables. We're gonna type in point light here. Sorry, we'll type in light. And we will go to variable type. We'll type in point light, which you can't see because my stuff is broken. Unbelievable. We're gonna shut down Unreal, save everything, shut it down, save Unreal, save all the things. Bear with me. Extra long class by 1 minute or two here. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of this light and use your own light wherever you want. And this is sort of again, we're in intermediate to advanced topics now. So going super fast. No apologies. Sorry, not sorry. What we're going to do, light, right here, variable type, point light. Object types, point light, object reference, yes. And then right here where it says eyeball, I'm going to click on that guy. And so that basically that exposes it for me to edit that light. Oh, I need to compile. There we go. So you can see now it's exposed right there. See that? All right, so then what I'm going to do is I am going to, let's see, find the references of these guys. So get point light. Here we go. We're going to change it to this one. That's fine. This is probably what was happening to you before, Alex. We're just going to connect that like that, like that, like that. And then where is another one? Get point light. Where are you at? Oh, right here. Is visible. Connect. Visible. Oh, that's fine. Connect like that. And that's fine. Compile and save. And now we can get rid of this point light completely out of our components. We don't need the light anymore in our components, right? And here I will also drag this guy closer to our wall so we can test. Oh, closer to the wall. Oh no, not in the air. What have you done? Closer to the wall and rotate. Cool. So now we need a point light in the world, right? So let's grab a point light. So the lights, point light, we'll add it into the world and we'll make it super bright and we'll make it, you know, whatever. Teal, perfect. Seafoam green, teal, I don't know. Let's argue about it for 20 minutes. Oh, with that light in the world, now click on the blueprint and you can see here light, point light, that one right there. It's this one right here that I just selected, right? We can rename this. We'll name this Bacon Seafoam Green Light. I spelled foam wrong. Forgive me. Okay, there it is. Bacon Seafoam Green Light. All right, and this light actually should be turned off by default. So let's go visible, not visible. All right, cool. So user walks up, presses the use key, the light turns on. Presses U key, light is off. It's amazing. And we can move that light wherever we want. So maybe it is, you know, right above the user. There we go, sorry. Perfect. Okay, 3 minutes overdue. Forgive me. Guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, actually, let me stop the stream.